Now, find a comfortable position. Let your body begin to soften. Let your shoulders drop, and your breath slow down. You're safe here. You're warm. You're exactly where you need to be. Allow the outside world to grow quiet as your thoughts become lighter, softer, slower, like feathers floating on a breeze. If your mind begins to wander, that's perfectly alright. Just let it drift, like a leaf down a calm stream. Tonight, you're simply here to listen and to rest. And now, our story today begins in a hidden corner of the world, a place wrapped in mist and stitched together with centuries of whispered dreams. The Glassblower of Whisper Hollow Tilda. Part 1. The Ember and the Mist Tilda. Beyond the hills of Old Saxony, past fields of flax and frost-kissed stone, there lies a quiet village that appears on no modern map. Its name is Whisper Hollow. The path to it weaves like ribbon through forest and meadow, fading from gravel to moss, until the road itself seems to disappear beneath your feet. The trees here grow tall, ancient. Their branches arch overhead like cathedral ceilings, dappling the forest floor with a soft lace of golden light. Even in the daylight, the village seems dreambound, resting in the cradle of mist and memory. You may hear the soft rustle of leaves, the distant song of doves, nesting in chimney crooks, or the delicate clink of glass beads, catching morning sun. And it is in this village where our story truly begins. Nestled beneath a sloping thatched roof, wrapped in climbing ivy and time-worn timber, lives an old glassblower named He is quiet, kind, and though the villagers pass him with gentle nods, very few know the magic that slips through his fingers by firelight. Every morning, long before the first rooster stirs, Thummel slips from his straw-stuffed bed, wraps his shawl tight, and tends the embers of his hearth. You can hear them now, can't you? The soft crackling, the hiss of damp logs, like the whisper of stories being told in another language. The hearth glows slowly to life amber and go down with it. The room warms. Motes of dust dance lazily in the rising light, like snowflakes adrift in some gentle dream. Thomel's workshop is small but tidy. Long wooden shelves line the walls, holding jars of powdered color cobalt, copper, manganese, ochre, and glassy green. Some say those colors have names lost to time, colors from dreams, or perhaps from the sky before stars had names. And now, he selects a slender rod of clear sandborn glass, holds it over the flame until it softens, bends, glows. You can hear the breath he takes, long, steady, practiced, a slow inhale, and a slow, warm exhale. As he shapes the bead between breath and fire, there is a rhythm to his work. Inhale, the flame flickered. Exhale, and the molten orb spins like a tiny planet, turning slowly on its axis. The room fills with a gentle hum, the low murmur of bellows, the soft swirl of powdered pigment, the hush of glowing glass being born. And as the first bead cools, you can see the blue emerge deep and rich, like midnight over water. This is cobalt glass, and long ago, it was believed to protect against nightmares. Medieval artisans whispered that deep blue beads held the power to calm the restless soul. Sailors carried them, mothers hung them above cradles, and old Thomo, though he speaks of such things rarely, always hums a little lullaby when shaping blue. The night is deep, the flame is low. Rest your eyes and let dreams grow. Let the sound of that soft humming lull you, like waves washing gently over a shoreline of sleep. Now, outside his window, the fog begins to lift. The sun peeks just barely over the distant hills, gilding the stone chimneys and weathered rooftops in soft gold. A single raven caws in the distance, but even its voice seems softened by the hush of morning. Back inside, Thummel places the bead on a velvet cloth too cool. Its surface, still warm, glimmers with an inner light like a forgotten star pressed into glass. If you look closely, you might see a swirl inside the bead. A tiny spiral like a constellation long lost tonight. He doesn't know why they form that way. The patterns change with each season, sometimes like frost on a window, sometimes like sleeping dragons curled in glass. But Thummel has long since stopped asking why. Some things are meant to be quiet. Some things are only understood by the heart. As the fire crackles and the scent of warm ash lingers, he moves to the next bead. This one will be green, like dewashed moss, a color set in old tales to bring peaceful dreams of forests and still lakes. Let yourself imagine it now. The flicker of the flame, the glass melting into softness, the breath, slow and steady, shaping the world into something gentle. Outside, a breeze carries the scent of damp earth and wild rosemary. The village is waking, but only just. Somewhere, a baker yawns. A cat curls tighter atop a windowsill. But in this quiet moment, it is only you, and the flame, and the sound of a glassblower's breath. Soft, even endlessly slow. The workshop grows warmer, and the beads lined up like tiny suns and moons begin to glow. And just for a moment, the room feels like the inside of a lantern floating down a stream of dreams, and you are drifting with it. Part 2. The Secret of Cobalt Dreams. Tilda, as the day stretches quietly across Whisper Hollow, the sky outside becomes a soft wash of morning cream and gentle rose. But inside Thermal's workshop, time doesn't press forward. It simply settles, like mist, resting on a windowsill. He continues shaping bead after bead, each one a breath, a prayer, a drifting thought made solid. And as he works, he hums not words, but tones, low and slow, almost like the sound of wind curling around a stone wall. It is said in old Saxon villages that artisans carried memories in their fingertips, that every line, every curve, every small creation held within it the feelings of its maker. And Thermal, he dreams while he works. He dreams of starlit gardens, of candlelit hallways in forgotten keeps, of a sky so dark the constellations look like pinpricks in velvet. And somehow, those dreams find their way into the beads. The villagers often say his blue glass seems to hold a sleepy kind of magic, that if you close your eyes and place one in your palm, you'll dream of gentle things, of songs you've never heard but somehow know, of loved ones long gone but smiling still. Years ago, a traveling healer stopped by Whisper Hollow and traded a pouch of herbs for 3 of Thermal-S beads. She swore her dreams that night were of a land untouched by sorrow, where stars whispered names in a language older than speech. Of course, Thermal never spoke of that story aloud. He only smiled. And Catwood. Another bead joins the line on the velvet cloth. This one is a warm, amber made from powdered iron and crushed barley straw, the color of autumn leaves and half-light and quiet endings. He brushes his fingers lightly over the line of finished beads each, one still slightly warm. Carefully, he lifts a small oak box from the corner shelf. The wood is carved with little knots and curves, worn smooth from years of use. Inside it are scraps of parchment, each one with a name written in curling ink. Villagers who ordered a bead for their child's naming, for a grandmother's 80th winter, for the journey of a son, setting off to be a knight squire in the lowlands. And Thermal, ever gentle Mashisi, each bead with the story it was born for. One for Mira, the weaver's daughter, who dreams of flying over mountaintop. One for old Bram, whose bones ache less when he wears a blue bead on his wrist. One for baby Elric, who sleeps best when the bead is tucked in his cradle's corner. There is peace in this work, a slow unfolding, a soft music made not of sound but of care. You can feel it, can't you? The weightlessness of this moment, the softness of a world where every detail is lovingly shaped by hand. Now listen, a wind stirs gently outside. You can hear it ruffle the thatch above, tickling the ivy vines and making them whisper against the stone. A distant bell rings one soft chime from the chapel beyond the hill. It's nearly midday, but the village never hurries. Thermal, too, moves slowly. He takes a small ladle of cooled rainwater and lets it pour just barely over a cooling bead. The sound is so soft, like droplets slipping down a windowpane, like lullabies made of silver. And with each drop, the bead sighs into stillness, its glow fading, but never gone. Outside his workshop, there's a wooden bench shaded by a yew tree, and Thermal often steps out to sit for a spell after a long morning's work. He does so now, quietly wrapping a wool shawl around his shoulders, and as he lowers himself onto the bench, the sound of birdsong greets him, low and lyrical, like flutes being played somewhere far away in a language of leaves. He watches the wind play in the branches, feels the sun on his cheek, and closes his eyes for a while. And perhaps, if you were sitting there with him, you'd hear what he hears. Not just birdsong, but the faint chime of beads in his pocket, knocking gently together. Not just wind, but the echo of breath as he shaped each one. You'd feel it too, the calm, the sense that time here doesn't chase or hurry. It simply rests. This is the rhythm of Whisper Hollow, is the hush between moments. This is where the mind can slow, and soften, and sleep. Part 3. the night beads, and their keeper Tilda. Thormal rests for a time beneath the shade of the old yew, the sun weaving golden patches through its needles, dappling his shawl with warmth and light. The gentle rise and fall of his breath mirrors the rhythm of the wind, like the tide pulling gently toward the shore, each exhale like the water slipping back again. And in that slow stillness, the village breathes with him. Across the cobbled lane, shutters creak open and close with the breeze. A soft laugh drifts from the bakery, where cinnamon is being folded into dough. Chickens mutter in their pens. A cartwheel squeaks in the distance. But all of it is slow, sleepy, soft. Thermal eventually stirs and pats his coat pocket, feeling the beads within it, the ones meant for tonight's blessing. Because tonight is special. Once each season, when the moon is full and the sky is clear, Thermal walks to the hill beyond the village chapel. He brings a lantern, a pouch of beads, and a small iron bowl. And there, beneath the stars, he places one bead from each color on the stones, and lets the moonlight touch them. It's an old tradition, older even than the village itself, passed down from glassblower to apprentice, from one quiet soul to another. They call them the night beads, and it's said that, on clear nights, if you hold a moonlit bead close to your ear, you can hear the stars breathing. No one truly knows why. Thermal continues the tradition. There's no ceremony, no audience, no praise, just him and the stars and the hush of night. But maybe it's not about knowing, maybe it's about feeling. He returns to his workshop and selects 7 beads each from a different hue. Cobalt blue for protection, amber for courage, forest green for dreamless sleep, violet, a rare one, for mystery, milk white for purity, soft rose for joy, and black deep as a well for remembrance. He places them carefully into a velvet pouch, then lifts his lantern from the hook by the hut. Its glass sides glow faintly orange, etched with little moons and vines. The oil inside smells faintly of pressed lavender's own addition for peace. Outside, the air cools. Evening stretches long shadows across the cobblestones, and a hush settles over Whisper Hollow once again. With the pouch tucked close, Thormal walks slowly through the village, lantern swinging gently at his side. The flame inside flickers softly, casting little halos onto the lane. People nod to him as he passes. The baker, wiping flour from his hands. A child in a windowsill, watching with quiet eyes. An old woman with a cat in her arms, humming a lullaby from her own childhood. They all know where he's going, and somehow their stillness is part of it. The path to the chapel hill is lined with elder trees, their silvered leaves rustling faintly in the evening breeze. Each step Thermal takes is soft, not rushed, not loud, just one foot, then the other, like walking through a dream already unfolding. And then, at the hilltop, he stops. The view is wide, though the world is hushed. Lanterns glow in distant windows. Chimneys release long ribbons of wood smoke into the deepening sky, and overhead stars begin to emerge, one by one. He kneels on the stone circle, a place ancient and worn, the moss growing soft between its cracks, and, with gentle hands, he opens the pouch and lays each bead in a spiral around the iron bowl. Each bead seems to catch the light of the rising moon in its own wasting glint. Others glow, some shimmer faintly like fog across still water. Thermal lights a taper and touches it to the herbs in the bowl-dried chamomile, crushed violet petals, and a pinch of salt. The herbs catch flame with a soft whoosh, and a pale smoke begins to curl into the air, rising like a question only the stars can answer. And breathes. The wind hushes, the trees listen, and the moon looks down like an old friend. There are no words in this part of the ritual, only presence, only stillness, only the soft crackle of flame and the quiet, rhythmic rise and fall of breath. Each bead now holds the blessing of the night sky called vast and deep with peace. He leaves them there until the flame fades, until the stars shine clear, until even time feels drowsy, and then he gathers them again, places them back in the pouch, now faintly warm from moon and memory. He'll keep them on his shelf for those who need them most. A bead for the girl with the trembling voice. A bead for the baker who dreams of someone lost. A bead for the wanderer passing through, because sleep is a gift, and dreams, even the forgotten ones, still glow quietly in the dark. Part 4. Beads beneath pillows. Tilda. Thormal's walk home is slower still. The pouch of moon-blessed beads rests against his heart, the faintest warmth glowing through the fabric of his tunic, and in the stillness of the late hour, It seems the whole village holds its breath. The moon casts silver over every rooftop, every stone, every folded curtain. Even the ivy on the glassblower's house seems to shimmer softly, forming like tiny beads of its own. As he reaches his workshop door, he doesn't knock or creak or clatter. He merely presses the latch, steps inside, and lets the hush welcome him home. The fire has faded to warm coals. They glow like the embers of a long, kind thought. He sets the pouch of beads on a silk cloth. Each one will rest until it's needed, until someone knocks softly in the morning, asking, "Do you still have one of the blue ones?" Thermal never asks why. He simply nods, and places the bead gently in their hand, wrapped in a square of linen, and tied with thread the color of dusk. There's a drawer beneath the work table where he keeps little scrolls notes from villagers. Some are requests, some are thanks, some are simply dreams. One reads, "For Mira, a bead to keep the lightning out of her sleep." Another says, "He spoke her name one last time. I think it was the bead, thank you." And one, very old, written in a shaky hand, says, "Only, I forgot what silence felt like." Thermal reads them sometimes before bed, not with pride, but with peace, with quiet understanding. He opens the shutters a crack, just enough to let in the cool night air. You can feel it now, too, can't you? That gentle breeze, brushing across your cheeks like the softest fabric. The smell of distant hearth smoke and wild thyme. The rustling leaves telling secrets no one needs to understand. He climbs the ladder to his loft, one slow step at a time, his fingers trailing along the rail, worn smooth by decades of hands. Up here, beneath the eaves, the ceiling is low, and everything smells faintly of ashwood and wool. There's a bed, carved with moons along the headboard, a shelf of worn books, and a small window where the stars always peek in. He folds back the quilter patchwork of old stories sewn by his sister long ago. Each patch a memory, each stitch a heartbeat, and he lays down slowly, carefully, with the ease of someone who knows the world will still turn without him for a few hours. On the bedside table is a bead of cobalt blue. He touches it with the tips of his fingers, then slides it beneath his pillow. It's cool to the touch, then warmer, then still. And, as he exhales, so do you. Inhale, deep and slow, like drawing moonlight into your chest. Exhale, softer, slower, like a sigh the stars might make. All around you now is stillness. The glow of the fire fades. The wind quiets. Even the ivy outside holds its breath. And in that deep quiet, a dream begins to bloom. It starts like a shimmer inside the bead beneath Thermal's pillow, a swirl of soft blue, spinning like a galaxy no eye has ever seen. It unfurls like silk, like water, like song, and suddenly, you're there too. Part 5. Dreamglass Tilda. Imagine now, you are not in your bed, not in your home, but floating, above the village, above the chapel, above the woods, weightless. The stars above you are not cold, they pulse gently with warmth, like distant lullabies made of light. Below you, whisper hollow slumbers. You can see it all. The chimney smoke curling upward in slow spirals. The pond behind the baker's house, still and reflecting every moonbeam. The chapel bell, still and silent, like it's dreaming too. And then you see them, the beads, scattered through the village like tiny lanterns, beneath pillows, hung above cradles, tied to bedposts and tucked inside nightgowns, each one glowing, each one humming, softly, gently, with a color unique to its keeper. Rose for dreams of laughter, violet for one, blue for those with hearts to fall to sleep. And one by one, you feel them, the warmth they give, the way they listen. You realize, then, these aren't just beads. They are keepers of quiet. They gather the weight of the day, the ache of longing, the tremble of forgotten fears. And in exchange, they offer stillness. They offer sleep. They offer dreams so soft, they feel like memory. Or maybe, like home. Part 6. The bead that held the sky. Tilda. Some say there was once a bead that held the sky itself. A storm had swept through Whisper Hollow years ago, before Thermal's beard had turned silver, before the chapel bell had cracked its tone. The wind howled like wolves, the rain fell sideways, and the sky had no stars. Children cried, cats curled into chimneys, and dreams were forgotten for a while. But Thermal sat by his fire, and in that storm-lit silence, with lightning flashing against the glass panes and thunder trembling the wood of his cottage, he made a bead. He didn't plan it, didn't measure. He simply worked. The flame bent and danced, and the rod of glass softened like honey under summer sun, and slowly, carefully, with breath as slow as prayer, he made a bead of midnight blue, so deep that when he held it up to the light, it didn't reflect, it absorbed. The villagers called it sky bead. They whispered that if you held it to your ear during storms, the thunder would quiet, that if you slipped it beneath your pillow, even nightmares would bow their heads and step aside. Thomal never confirmed those stories, but he kept the bead in a small box, lined with lamb's wool, wrapped in black linen, and placed on the highest shelf beside his window. Sometimes, just before sleep, he'd open the box, hold the bead in his hand, and listen, not with his ears, with something softer, something quieter, and when he felt it, the hush, the vastness, he'd nod once, and sleep would take him like a boat on still waters. You can feel that bead now, can't you? Its weight in your palm, though you've never touched it. Its deep blue breath drawing you inward. No words, no worry, only the velvet stretch of sky behind your eyelids. Let it lull you, let it wrap around you like a blanket of distant stars. Now, let's go deeper still. Part 7, where the beads go tilde. You may wonder, softly, what becomes of the beads over time. Some are passed down mother to daughter, grandfather to grandson, tucked into tiny boxes with cracked leather lids and faded names. Some are lost buried beneath floorboards, hidden in tree roots, left behind in inns where dreams were kind. But most simply dissolve. Not into dust, not into air, into memory. Into the places where warm hands once held them, into the dreams they once kept safe, into the hearts that breathed easier. Because of them, it is said, that when a bead has served its final purpose, when its glow is dimmed and its work is done, it fades, not in sadness, not in silence, in peace. Thomal knows this. He has seen a bead go still in a child's palm after her nightmares left forever. He has seen one crack quietly when a grieving widow laughed again, and he never mourns them. He only bows his head, because even glass can rest. Even dreams have their own quiet seasons. Tonight, above Whisper Hollow, stars spill across the sky like scattered seeds. The moon is pale and round, watching kindly. In the loft, Thomal stirs gently beneath his quilt. His breathing is even slow. The cobalt bead still rests beneath his pillow warm now, and pulsing faintly like the echo of a lullaby. And far below, in the darkened workshop, the velvet pouch lies untouched. But if you listen closely, if your breath is slow enough, you might just hear the beads inside hum, not with sound, but with memory, with sleep, with stillness. They're waiting for the next hand, the next dream, the next whisper in the night. And so, you drift, held in the hush older than time, cradled by glass shaped in fire, soothed by the breath of a village that never hurries, each moment slower than the last, each breath deeper, each thought softer, until even your name, your shape, your day, grows weightless. You are part of the stillness now, part of the dream, part of the bead. Part 8, the traveler, and the gift tilde. There was once a traveler who came to Whisper Hollow. No one saw her arrive, no horse, no cart, no footfall on the road. Just one morning, there she was, wrapped in a soft grey cloak, boots muddied by distant roads, eyes like quiet water. She didn't speak much, only smiled and watched. And when she entered Thomal's shop, it was as though the air bent around her presence, welcoming her, as if it had waited long for this moment. She stood near the shelf of finished beads, fingertips floating just above them, but not touching. Thomal didn't ask her name. He simply said, "Take the one you feel." And she did, a bead of pale green, so light it was nearly transparent. The kind of green you see in spring leaves just before the sun touches them. She nodded once, eyes glistening with something like knowing, and reached into her pocket, and offered him something in return. A folded scrap of parchment, on it a sketch rough, hurried, but unmistakable. It was of his workshop, his shelves, his hands at the flame, but in the drawing, each bead shone like stars, and over Thomal's head hovered a constellation that didn't exist in any sky he knew. A gift, not a payment. She turned to go, her footsteps soft, like pages turning in an old book, and, though she never returned, Thomal kept the drawing pinned above his work table. A reminder that what we give often returns in stranger, gentler forms. He never made another bead quite like the one she chose. That soft green. That whisper of new beginnings. It had been meant for her. Only her. And some nights, when the wind curls through the shutters and the flame bends toward the door, he wonders if she still carries it, or if, perhaps, she dissolved into a dream herself. Part 9. Night beneath the ivy tilde. Back in the quiet of the present night, ivy brushes gently against the mall's shutter. You can hear it now, soft scratch scratch, as if even the leaves are singing their sleepy songs. Down below, the last of the coals glow dim in the hearth. The room smells faintly of lavender wax, warm glass, and wood. A cat old, orange, and nameless is curled on the chair by the fire, tail twitching in dreams. Thomore's breath, steady as a pendulum, marks the hour between wakefulness and sleep. And you drift right alongside him, as though the bed were yours, as though the bead were beneath your pillow, as though the dreams were calling you, too. They are. Can you feel it? That distant call, soft as spun thread, pulling you deeper, like falling slowly into the arms of a forest made of stars. Your breath slows, your limbs grow heavy, but safe, not weighed down, just settled, deeply settled, into comfort. And now, a story comes to meet you. Not one spoken, not one written, but a story that only you will see. A dream shaped by the hush of glass, the rhythm of breath, the warmth of a bead kissed by moonlight. Let it come. Let it carry you. You do not need to do anything more. No thoughts, no effort. Just the soft curl of your lips into a smile, the warmth behind your eyes, and the sound of your own heart moving like a lantern boat along a quiet stream. Because in Whisper Hollow, the night does not chase it, and the fire does not burn. It glows. And Thomore the Glassblower keeps breathing, not to shape the next bead, but to listen for your dreams as they bloom, because tonight, they are yours, and they are gentle, and they are enough. Part X. Dream shapes in the firelight tilde. Inside the cooled workshop, shapes dance along the walls, not from fire now, but from the moonlight filtered through colored glass. Little motes of green, blue, and gold drift across the beams, like echoes of the day's breath still playing in the silence. The cat shifts in its sleep, murmuring a dream of chasing mice made of moonlight. Somewhere outside an owl calls once low, round, and calm. Everything is where it should be. In the loft above, Thummel turns slightly under his quilt, releasing a long sigh, half breath, half blessing. The bead beneath his pillow pulses one final time, and then grows still. It has done its work. In a dream, he walks among tall reeds beside a river, the surface smooth as molten glass. He carries nothing. He worries for nothing. Even his steps make no sound. Soft ripples in water that seems to listen more than it reflects. In the reeds, a small orb of blue floats glowing, steady. He doesn't need to touch it. He simply knows. The night watches over him. And in the dream, so do you. You walk nearby. Your feet don't leave marks. You feel the quiet not as absence, but as welcome. Like everything that was noisy in the world has curled up for the night. There are no questions here. No unfinished things. Only the sound of water kissing stone. And the feeling of something you thought you lost, gently finding its way back. Part 11. Of fire, sand, and sleep. Tilde. Centuries ago, before Thomel, before the village of Whisper Hollow ever bore its name, there were only the woods. And a man who found sand that sparkled under moonlight. He didn't have a furnace, only a campfire. He didn't know alchemy, only patience. But he watched as wind carried ash through the air, and saw, one evening, how a stray ember fell into a hollow of powdered stone, and something changed, a glimmer, and the world's first shard of wild, imperfect glass. They say he held it up to the moon and whispered, "You're not alone anymore." And ever since, those who shape glass by fire have carried that memory, that breath, that soft vow to the night, to make something beautiful, something small, something sacred, and to ask nothing in return. Tonight, that same ember spirit lives in every bead on Thomel's shelf. Not magic, no, not spells, just warmth, care, time, and that is its own kind of wonder. So now, imagine yourself back in his little shop, the smell of smoke and lavender and cooled clay, the quiet hum of rest, the faint gleam of colored beads lined up like memories waiting to be held. You reach out, choose one without even thinking. It's the right one. You feel its smoothness, its cool breath, and then, gently, You place it beneath your own pillow, just like Thomal, just like the villagers, but just like the travelers and the storytellers and the dreamers before you. And now, you're ready. Part 12. Let go now, Tilda. Let the breath slow one more time. In through your nose, like a tide, out through your mouth. Like the hush of falling leaves. There is nothing left to do, nowhere to be. Only this. This comfort, this pause, this feeling of being watched over, not by eyes, but by warmth. You are held by silence, by breath, by stars, by glass made from fire, cooled by air, and cradled by sleep. And you are drifting now. Drifting so softly, drifting so deeply, drifting like a bead rolling into its perfect place on velvet cloth. Let go of thought, of time, of everything but the feeling of the bead beneath your pillow, and the way it hums, not with sound, but with peace. Because in Whisper Hollow, dreams do not chase you, they wait for you, like a door held gently open, and a fire that never burns out. Part 13. Cradle of the Hollow, Tilda. Far below the quiet loft, beneath beams, older than memory, and bricks, warmed by centuries of fire, the hollow holds its breath. It is the hour between moonrise and dreamfall, an hour when nothing stirs. And yet, everything listens. The ivy on the windows gently curls against the pane. The trees bow toward the cottage, not in wind, but in stillness. Even the stars above seem to dim their brightness, as if to avoid waking the earth below. You are part of this stillness now. No longer visitor, you belong. In this story, in this breath, in this rhythm of silence and glow. Sleep doesn't come to claim you. It comes to cradle you, and the village of Whisper Hollow has always known how to cradle its own. Part 14. Where stories curl like smoke, Tilda. Not far from Thormal, a shop jester bends down a mossy lane stands the cottage of Mira, the weaver. The bead Femel made for her still hangs above her bed, tied with a single braid of red thread. She dreams of skies she's never flown, wings she's never used, but in her sleep she soars. Down the lane is old Bram's home. His bead rests on the inside of his left boot, right where the leather folds near his ankle. He says it eases the pain, but truthfully, he simply likes knowing it's there. And in the cottage near the brook, baby Elric murmurs in his crib. A blue bead hangs just above his head, swaying ever so gently. His mother says he doesn't cry anymore. Not since the bead came. All of these lives, softly touched by the glass that began as sen, shaped by fire, cooled by breath, and given with care. Stories, curling upward like chimney smoke, gathering in the air just above the hollow, winding around each other, sleeping together, and your breath becomes one of them. Your thoughts become mist on the window pane. Your dreams drift quietly toward the stars. Part 15. The flame that waits, Tilda. Back in the workshop, the embers glow beneath ash dim but steady. The flame doesn't need to burn tonight. It only needs to remember. It remembers the color of every bead Thermal has made, the sound of every breath he's taken while shaping them, the silence of the nights when he made beads, not for others, but for himself, for comfort, for release, for peace. One such bead, a deep violet, flecked with copper rests beneath a silk cloth, never given away. Its purpose was never to be held, or worn, or gifted. Its purpose was simply to exist, to be beautiful, to be, and sometimes that is enough. Tonight, the fire watches you, not with eyes, but with presence. It knows you've come far. It knows you've grown tired, and so it waits, soft, patient, still, like a lullaby with no chorus, like a lullaby made of light. Now, let your breath ease even more. Let your shoulders melt into the mattress. Let your eyes grow heavier than ever before. Each thought, now a feather. Each worry, a vapor. Each muscle, unwinding, unfurling. And above you, the stars continue. Their slow, eternal turning. They do not rush. They do not call. They only wait for you to join them in stillness. In a place where glass glows with memory, where dreams, where colors, where sleep is not taken, but given. Whisper Hollow is quiet, a part of its hush. Part 16. A room made of breaths. Tilda. The loft is quiet now, except for the soft, rhythmic sound of Thomal's breath. Each inhale barely stirs the quilt. Each exhale is like a sigh from the world itself, easing into its own slumber. Even the walls seem to breathe. The wood, old and honey-colored, groans very gently with the settling of night. The rafters creak not from pressure, but from the memory of years. and the floorboards beneath the bed whisper in their sleep. You are in a room made of breath, of warmth, of small, perfect silences, and around you, every object, every little thing Thermal has touched with care seems to hum its own quiet lullaby. The ceramic bowl on the shelf, once filled with powdered cobalt, the little brass scale that tips only when the tiniest weights are added. The basket of discarded glass, where fractured pieces catch the moonlight in still colors. Each one rests. Each one remembers. Even broken glass can be beautiful by moonlight, and even broken thoughts, yours included, can. Part 17. The Library of Sleeping Beads. Tilda. You drift now into another part of the dream. Below the workshop, beneath a trapdoor Thormal opens only once a year, there lies a room no one else knows about. The Library of Sleeping Beads. Not a library of books, but a library of dreams captured in glass. Hundreds, maybe thousands of tiny velvet boxes, each one nestled carefully on carved shelves. Each box holds a bead, each bead holds a dream, a real one, lived, loved, and let go. Some are calm, some are sad, some are full of laughter, but none are forgotten. Thummel does not visit this room often. He lets the beads sleep. But tonight, because you're here, the dream invites you in. The door opens slowly, not with sound, but with feeling. The room smells of cedar and melted wax, cool, sweet, earthy, and in the center is a table made of driftwood, worn smooth by time and touch. One bead rests in the middle. It glows a faint rose gold, and inside it, you see your own reflection, slowly softening, your eyes growing heavy, your mind quieting like water going still. You don't need to take the bead, you only need to see it, to know that your sleep, your story, is part of the hollow now, part of the library, part of the hush. You turn slowly, breath slow and even, and walk back through the dream, up the stairs, past the flame, beneath the ivy, into the warmth of Thermal's loft, and into your own soft body. Your limbs feel like warm sand, your fingers like mist. Your thoughts are no longer thoughts, they're drifting threads, dissolving into the pillows of night. Part 18. In the hollow, you are held, Tilda. Let everything go now. Let the last bit of tension melt from your brow, your jaw, your shoulders. Let gravity take you, not as weight, but as surrender. There is nothing you must carry here. No deadline, no expectation, no voice that needs answering. You are not being asked to be anything other than still. Let the words fade. Let the story blur, because this isn't a story anymore. This is a state of being, a warmth behind your eyes, a softness in your bones, a hush at the center of your chest. The hollow holds you, the dream holds you, the breath holds you, and the bead glows faint and steady beneath your pillow. You do not need to wake up now. You are exactly where sleep meant to find you. Let go, deeper, softer now. Part 19. What the beads remember, Tilda. The beads remember more than dreams. They remember hands, the calluses of a gardener's thumb, the ink-stained fingertips of a quiet poet, the trembling grasp of someone who hadn't slept in days, until they held the bead close to their chest. They remember voices, the soft bedtime songs of mothers, the crackling laughter of grandfathers telling tales under the whispered prayers of travelers hoping for a safe dawn, the kind that stretches wide and gentle, like morning mist between the trees, the kind that holds you like a quilt made of time and patience, the kind of silence you're resting in now, and the beads remember you, even if you've never touched one, even if you're only here now, curled into blankets, eyes closed, body heavy with rest. They know your breath, they know your softest thoughts, and they are humming, just for you. Part 20. The unfinished bead. There is one bead Thermal never finished. It rests in a shallow bowl near the window, where the morning light sometimes touches it. It is one edge smooth and round, the other still jagged like cracked ice. Thermal once tried to shape it, but the flame flickered and his breath faltered. He stopped, not from mistake, but from instinct. Some dreams, he felt, aren't meant to be shaped all at once. Some dreams ask to be incomplete. He left the bead there, untouched, and every so often, when a storm rolls in or the air feels strange, he sits beside it with a cup of elderflower tea. He doesn't speak, he just listens. And sometimes, he hears something, not in words, but in memories that aren't his. A beach no one remembers. A name spoken like a melody. A moment so soft it can only exist in glass, not yet cooled. That bead has never been gifted. never sold, never named. It simply is, and in that, it is perfect. So if you've ever felt unfinished, if your edges are still rough, if your dreams don't yet have shapes, the bead understands, Fomal understands, and they are waiting, quietly, for the day you'll know your own shape, too, or maybe, they're here to remind you. Even unshaped dreams can glow. Part 21. When the village sleeps, Tilda. Outside, the hollow is deep in rest, the animals curl in corners, the lanterns are out. The wind has settled like a sleeping child on the forest's edge. Even the stream by the mill turns slower, its bubbling softened to a murmur. And inside every home, beneath every pillow, in drawers, pockets, and shelves, beads lie still, glowing. Some with the light of tonight's dreams, some with memories from long ago. They keep watch. They hum peace. They do what they were made to do. Hold the hush. You are held to your body, no longer restless, your breath, slower than time, and your thoughts, almost gone now, floating upward like lantern smoke, fading like candlelight behind closed lids. You are not thinking anymore. You are feeling soft, safe, held. You don't need to ask what comes next. Sleep is already here. It arrived with the first breath you let go, and it has been curling around you ever since. So rest deeper, slower. Part 19. What the beads remember, Tilda. The beads remember more than dreams. They remember hands, the calluses of a gardener's thumb, the ink-stained fingertips of a quiet poet, the trembling grasp of someone who hadn't slept in days, until they held the bead close to their chest. They remember voices, the soft bedtime songs of mothers, the crackling laughter of grandfathers telling tales under the whispered prayers of travelers hoping for a safe dawn, the kind that stretches wide and gentle, like morning mist between the trees, the kind that holds you like a quilt made of time and patience, the kind of silence you're resting in now, and the beads remember you, even if you've never touched one, even if you're only here now, curled into blankets, eyes closed, body heavy with rest. They know your breath, they know your softest thoughts, and they are humming, just for you. Part 20. The unfinished bead. There is one bead, Fomal never finished. It rests in a shallow bowl near the window, where the morning light sometimes touches it. It is one edge smooth and round, the other still jagged like cracked ice. Fomal once tried to shape it, but the flame flickered and his breath faltered. He stopped, not from mistake, but from instinct. Some dreams, he felt, aren't meant to be shaped all at once. Some dreams ask to be incomplete. He left the bead there, untouched, and every so often, when a storm rolls in, or the air feels strange, he sits beside it with a cup of elderflower tea. He doesn't speak, he just listens. And sometimes, he hears something, not in words, but in memories that aren't his. A beach no one remembers. A name spoken like a melody. A moment so soft it can only exist in glass, not yet cooled. That bead has never been gifted, never sold, never named. It simply is, and in that, it is perfect. So if you've ever felt unfinished, if your edges are still rough, if your dreams don't yet have shapes, the bead understands, Fomal understands, and they are waiting, quietly, for the day you'll know your own shape, too, or maybe, they're here to remind you. Even unshaped dreams can glow. Part 21. When the village sleeps, Tilda. Outside, the hollow is deep in rest, the animals curl in corners, the lanterns are out. The wind has settled like a sleeping child on the forest's edge. Even the stream by the mill turns slower, its bubbling softened to a murmur. And inside every home, beneath every pillow, in drawers, pockets, and shelves, beads lie still, glowing. Some with the light of tonight's dreams, some with memories from long ago. They keep watch. They hum peace. They do what they were made to do. Hold the hush. You are held to your body, no longer restless, your breath, slower than time, and your thoughts, almost gone now, floating upward like lantern smoke, fading like candlelight behind closed lids. You are not thinking anymore. You are feeling soft, safe, held. You don't need to ask what comes next. Sleep is already here. It arrived with the first breath you let go, and it has been curling around you ever since. So rest deeper, slower. Part 22. The lantern that never goes out, Tilda. In Thalmor's workshop, Tucked in the highest corner shelf rests a small glass lantern. It's no larger than a teacup. Its frame is brass, curved gently like vines, and its panels are made from fragments of broken beads, shimmering in a mosaic of forgotten dreams. No wick, yet it glows softly. Always. Thommel made it long ago, without meaning to. One evening, after the hearth's embers cooled, he swept the broken pieces from the work table. Blue, gold, a bit of rose, and one edge of a bead that had never taken shape. He cupped them in his palm, ready to discard them, but stopped, because they sparkled, and they hummed, and they felt like memory. So he placed them, one by one, into the frame of a lantern that no longer held light, and something within the silence breathed. Now it hangs there quietly, never flickering, never fading. Some say it holds the light of the very first dream Thommel ever dreamed. Others believe it's where all the beads go, once they've been loved enough to disappear. Thommel never says, but some nights, when his dreams are long and deep, he sees it hovering above the village, a tiny light in the sky, glowing like a star that forgot to fall. And if you close your eyes now, you might feel its glow above you. Not warm like fire, but kind, constant, like the comfort of something that will not leave. Let that feeling stay with you now. A little glow, inside your chest, inside your dreams, a lantern that never goes out. Part 23. The sound of the beads, tilde. You may wonder if beads don't speak. How do they communicate? They do it in the quiet. They do it when your hand closes around them and your breath softens. They do it in the moment after the tears, when the stillness settles like a blanket across your heart. Sometimes they hum. Sometimes they vibrate faintly. Sometimes they warm, or cool, or shine more brightly when you need them most. But mostly, they listen. And their language is the silence after your thoughts end. Right now, you can hear them, can't you? Not with your ears, but somewhere deeper. It sounds like the crackle of a hearth in another room, like the lull of ocean waves inside a shell, like your own name, spoken without voice. That's the sound of the beads. That's the sound of home. And you are surrounded by it, even in your sleep, especially in your sleep. Part 24. When morning waits tilde but not yet. The birds are still dreaming, even the rooster always early, always loudest turned once more in his roost, tucked under a wing. Morning is patient. It lingers just beyond the edge of the sky, like a shy guest holding a bouquet of light. But there's no rush. Here, in Whisper Hollow, dawn does not arrive. It unfolds, petal by petal, color by color, moment by moment, just like your breath, just like your sleep. So there's time. So much time. Let your body go even heavier now. Sink one layer deeper. Let your thoughts become shadows of clouds. Let your heart soften like wax beneath warm fingers. Nothing is needed of you. You are allowed to stay here, to sleep deeper still, to rest until the light kisses your windowsill. And even then, you do not need to rise, because peace does not end at dawn. It simply changes shape. Part 25. Threads of dream glass, tilde. In the softest hour before sunrise, when sky and earth blur into one long breath, something quiet happens inside Thommel's dream. He sees threads, not made of wool or silk, but of something finer glimmering, transparent, endless, like strands of spun glass, thinner than hair, lighter than mist. They stretch through the hollow, from doorways and windows, from pillows and pockets, weaving gently from bead to bead. They do not tangle. They do not knot. They simply connect. Some lead to hearts that need healing. Some to children still learning the language of dreams. Some to travelers who don't yet know they're on their way. And Thommel sees his own thread too. It winds around the flame in his hearth, around his fingers, through the shelves in his workshop, then lifts upward, into sky, into starlight. Each bead, he understands, is not just a thing made of fire and breath. It is between here and there, between now and once, between waking and sleep. And so are you. You, too, are part of the weave. Your dreams, your stillness, your quiet heartbeats, all ripple through the tapestry. You're not just a listener. You are woven in, and the hollow remembers you now. Part 26. A quilt of quiet tilde. Imagine now. You lie not in your own bed, nor in Thommel's, but in a vast open field on the hill above the hollow. The stars above are soft and low, close enough to touch. The air is cool, but never cold, and over your body, a quilt, Not of cloth, not of cotton, but of quiet. Each square is a memory of gentleness, one from the sigh of a newborn in sleep, one from the silence between raindrops, one from the hush of forest moss when no one walks there. The corners are stitched with patience, the seams held by kindness. You are wrapped in it now. Not covered, but held, and it weighs nothing, but holds everything. This is what the hollow offers. Not just sleep, but the space for sleep, the invitation, the embrace. Let yourself be wrapped fully. Let every edge of you rest. Let the thoughts that try to return melt before they form. Let the hush do what it was made to do. You don't need to try. The quilt knows. The beads know. The village knows. Sleep is not something you chase. It is something that gently arrives. And it has arrived now. Part 27. Final breath of the flame Tilda in Thommel's hearth. The final ember gives one soft sigh. A tiny glow. A final curl of ash. And then stillness. But not an ending. No, a rest. The tools are cleaned. The shelves dusted. The windows shuttered. And the bead beneath Thalmor's pillar. It fades from light to warmth to memory. Its hum is finished. Its song complete. And in its place, beneath soft linen and a quiet head, is peace. That peace is yours, too. You don't need a bead to feel it. You're already part of it. Your body breathing slow. Your limbs curled, soft. Your thoughts no longer words, but clouds. It's okay now. You can stay here as long as you like. No doors to close, no clocks to heed. Only you and the dream and the village of Whisper Hollow, holding you gently in the silence between stars. Part 28. What the stars see, Tilda. Above the hollow, the stars continue their ancient wandering. Slow, patient, unhurried. They see the curled cat twitching in a dream by the hearth. They see Mira with her braid undone, hand resting on the green bead she's kept since girlhood. They see the flicker of warmth inside every cottage window. And they see you. They see your breath, steady now. They see your fingers, stilled. They see your thoughts, softened into dreams. But more than that, they see your rest, because the stars have watched this world for you. They've seen war and wonder, celebration and sorrow. And they know, true rest is rare, sacred. And tonight, you are sacred to them, so they dim themselves slightly, shining just enough to blanket you, but not so much to wake you. They know this is your hour. They will wait. Tilda Part 29. The bead that waits Tilda. In a tiny drawer beneath Thommel's workbench, there's a bead that's never been touched. He made it long ago, on a foggy morning when the mist curled low around the garden. He shaped it with his usual careless, breath soft, his flame even. But when it was done, he set it aside. It was different. Not in color, it was the softest gray, like smoke slipping through birch trees. Not in size, it fit neatly in the palm, but in feeling, it didn't hum. It didn't glow. It didn't wait to be claimed. It simply waited. Not like the others. Not eager, just quiet. Endlessly quiet. Thommel never wrapped it. Never labeled it. Never gave it away. Some part of him sensed that it wasn't made for anyone else. It was made for someday. And tonight, perhaps, that someday is near. Because tonight, you are here. And you've drifted far beyond words, beyond time, into that soft world where meaning isn't spoken, but felt. And the grey bead, deep in its drawer, warms slightly, just enough to know it is no longer waiting. It is being held by your rest, by your stillness, by your presence in the hollow. You don't need to touch it. You only need to keep sleeping, and it will hum just for you. Part 30. The hollow at rest, Tilda. Whisper Hollow is at full rest now. The wind has gone still, like a child asleep on her side. The trees do not rustle. The hearths do not crackle. Even the owls, guardians of the dark, have found their perches and closed their ancient eyes. It is the moment between the last star's blink and the first golden curl of dawn, and it stretches wide, soft as wool, long as breath. You are not dreaming anymore. You are inside the dream, a dream made of earth and glass, of flame and breath, of stories not told, but lived. And in this dream, you are safe. Nothing can disturb you. Nothing can chase you. Nothing can pull you back. The hollow has drawn you in, and it will not let go. Not until you've slept as deeply as the roots beneath the chapel. Not until you've breathed as slowly as ivy curling along stone. You may stay here. You are welcome. You are enough. Part 31. When dreams begin to speak, Tilda, there is a moment just before waking when dreams begin to speak. Not in language, but in feeling. A warmth in the chest, a silver flicker behind closed eyes, a whisper without sound, saying, "You were here, you mattered, you rested." And in that whisper, the beads shimmer, because the dreams they hold are not just sleep's creations. They are yours. Yours, shaped softly by everything you've let go of. And here, in Whisper Hollow, dreams are kept gently, like dew on moss, not clutched, not analyzed, only honored. So whatever dreams come to you, now whether vivid or vague, bright or dim, you may trust them. They are soft-spoken visitors. They are memory's quiet cousin, and they will not ask anything from you. Only that you float with them. Only that you allow the drift. Only that you rest, Tilda. Part 32. The last bead on the shelf, Tilda. In Thomal's shop, one bead remains on the shelf. It is not glowing. It does not hum. It is resting, too. It knows it will be chosen soon. Perhaps not today. Perhaps not for many seasons. But it doesn't worry. It was made in peace. And so, it waits in peace. It watches the other beads come and go. It listens to the flame in the hearth. It hears the cat snore, and the ivy tap, and the wind carry small stories from house to house. And it waits for the moment when someone, like you, will walk into the shop. Quiet, curious, ready. Not for magic, not for a miracle, just for something soft enough to hold sleep, and steady enough to give it. You may never visit Whisper Hollow in waking life, but your sleep already has. And in dreams, that is enough. You have already stood in Thermal's doorway. You have already felt the bead's smooth weight in your palm. You have already chosen it, or perhaps it chose you. And when you wake, slowly, gently, much later, some small part of you will remember. A warmth on your pillow, a hush in your chest, a story that hummed itself into your bones. Part 33. A promise in the silence, Tilda, before the bead was ever shaped, before the flame was ever lit, before the glass cooled beneath Thalmor's breath. A promise was made. Not aloud, not in words, but in silence. A silence that said, "You will be safe here. You may sleep here. You are welcome to rest and dream and wake gently." This silence is older than the hollow, older than Thomal, older than the very stars that blink above you now. And it has waited for centuries for you. You don't need to believe anything. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to breathe and let this promise be kept. You are not alone. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are tired, and you are safe, and you are allowed to rest. Part 34. The sleep beneath the stone, Tilda. At the far edge of Whisper Hollow, just beyond the chapel's stone wall, there's a circle of flat stones, nestled in the moss. Few speak of it, not because it's sad, but because it is sacred. This is where old beads are laid to rest. When a bead has hummed its last dream, when it has held sleep for a lifetime, when its light has faded so softly that even the night forgets it once glowed, Thomal walks it here, wrapped in linen, carried gently, laid upon cool stone under open sky. There are no words spoken, only the wind through the grass, only the sound of fingers letting go. And the stones remember. They've held hundreds, maybe thousands of beads, and each one leaves behind a hush deeper than silent. It is not an end. It is a return to earth, to sky, to stillness. You may not remember this place when you wake, but some part of you will carry its peace. A quiet patch of earth where rest is forever welcome. And that peace flows into your breath now. Let it fill you. Let it soften your belly. Let it release the very last edge of tension in your spine. Let it quiet your mind until it's nothing more than wind through grass. Part 35. A village of dreamers, Tilda. By now, the entire village is asleep. Mira, old Bram, baby, Elric, who always tries to stay up late, has finally surrendered to the warmth of his bead. They are dreaming. Some of field, some of birds, some of people long gone, returning for a smile, a touch, a moment. All are safe, all are held. And Thummel, he breathes in deeply. One last breath before the first edge of morning tugs at the edge of the sky. You are still with him, though you've drifted. Still part of the hush that wraps the hollow in its velvet night. Still part of the great exhale of the world. Because this is a village of dreamers, and you are now among them. You are not a guest. You are a neighbor, and your dreams, however strange, however soft, however scattered they may seem, are welcome here always. Tilda Part 36. No need to wake Tilda. You may hear morning stirring in the distance now, but don't worry. You are not expected to rise. Let the warmth hold you. Let the stillness keep you. Let the beads hum quietly in the folds of your sleep. Nothing is calling you right now. Nothing needs your attention. You may drift as long as you wish. There is no finish line in dreaming. Only a gentle sea. And you are afloat. Rocked softly by breath. Held loosely by thought. Bathed in memory light from a place that only the heart understands. The story does not end here. It only quiets. It becomes yours. Now, to carry, to revisit, to remember in the spaces between waking and rest. You are part of the hollow, and the hollow is part of you. Part 37. The bead inside you. Tilda. By now, the story has grown so soft. It barely has shape. Not a line of narration. Not a plot. Only feeling. And that's all you need. Because deep inside you now somewhere just beneath your ribs, where breath turns to stillness, there is something new. Something glowing. Something gentle. A bead. Not one shaped by flame. Not one blown or spun, but a bead made from your rest. From the very softness of this moment, it hums ever so faintly. With warmth. With safety. With a whisper of a lullaby remembered not by mind, but by heart. You don't need to hold it. You don't need to keep it. It is part of you now. Shaped by sleep. Blessed by stillness. Cooled by the long, slow breath you're taking now. This bead will stay with you, even after the morning comes. Not glowing in your hand, but glowing in your being. A quiet reminder, you have rested. You are resting. You will rest again. And nothing can take that from you. Tilda. Part 38. The fire. The breath. The thread. Tilda. 3 things. Make a bead and whisper hollow. Fire, breath, thread. Fire to shape. Breath to guide. Thread to connect. And tonight, you've known all 3. The fire, soft warmth against your skin, glowing gently from Thomor's hearth. The breath, your own, deepening now, slower than ever before. And the thread, the quiet link tying your sleep to every dreamer in the hollow. You are part of the tapestry, part of the glowing mosaic, part of the story that doesn't need to be told, because it's being lived. Every time you exhale, you pass a bit of your stillness into the village. And every time the village exhales, you receive some of its peace. It's a silent conversation, and you are fluent now. No effort, no words, just the rhythm of sleep. The music of the hush. Part 39. The quiet after the story, Tilda. Now, there is nothing left to hear. Not because the story is ended, but because it has become silence. A kind of silence that wraps around you like dusk. That lingers like the scent of time in warm linen. That feels like soft footsteps across old wood floors. You're still here, and yet you're elsewhere. Floating, resting, glowing. You may not remember the hollow tomorrow. You may not recall Thormal's name, or the way the ivy tapped the windows, or how the beads hummed. But your body will remember. It will remember how to breathe like this. It will remember how it felt to be fully at rest. It will remember the permission to let go. So when tomorrow feels heavy, or loud, or fast, come back here, to the hollow, to the breath, to the bead within. Let your fingers close softly and sleep. And know, the story is still holding you. Always. Part XL. A place you can return to. Whisper Hollow doesn't vanish in the light. It doesn't dissolve with morning mist. It simply waits in the folds of sleep, in the hush before a yawn, in the space between 2 quiet blinks. And any time you need it, whether the day is long, or your heart is loud, or your thoughts feel scattered, you may return. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly. Exhale softer still, and picture it. The winding path through the trees, the ivy on Thomor's windowsill, the soft glint of beads resting in the amber light of a quiet shop. It's all still there. Always has been. Always will be. Because Whisper Hollow is not only a place, it is a state of being. It is rest. It is release. It is a village built, not with stone, but with sleep. You carry it now. In your body, in your breath, in the bead within your heart. You are never far. You are already home. Part 41. Let the night finish its work, Tilda. There is nothing more you must do. No thoughts to complete. No plans to hold. no tomorrow to rehearse. Let the night finish its work. Let it loosen the last of your waking weight. Let it brush away any echoes, still clinging to your edges. Let it smooth you like sea glass, soft, rounded, quiet. The bead beneath your pillow has faded into warmth. The fire is only embers. The cat sleeps without stirring. Thormal breathes in peace. And you are deeper now than thought, deeper than dreams. You have reached the place where even words rest, where stories fall away, and only the feeling remains. That feeling is yours now. It doesn't ask anything. It simply is. Like breath, like sleep, like light that never burns. Part 42, One Last Whisper, Tilda. The wind has returned. Not to wake you, but to remind you of ivy, of lullabies, of the way stories whisper long after the telling ends. It drifts past the window, tugs gently at the eaves, curls beneath your quilt, and it carries just one last thought. Not a sentence, not a truth. Just this. You were meant to rest. Not because you've earned it, not because you finished something, but simply because you are alive. And all living things must sleep. Even beads, even stars, even hearts. So let go now. Let the story go. Let the silence carry you. You are exactly where you need to be. Now sleep.
Part 43. The breath after the end, Tilda. The story is over now. But you are still here. That's the beauty of the hollow. It doesn't close its doors when the tale concludes. It simply grows quieter. Like a lake after the last ripple. Like a candle's glow after the flame has gone. Like a lullaby, remembered more by the body than the mind. You are resting in that space. The space after sound, the breath after the end. The hush that says, stay as long as you need. And the world outside, it's still turning. Yes, the sun will rise. The rooster will call, the baker will roll out dough, and Thomal will open his shutters and light his fire once more. But you don't need to join them, not yet. You may linger, wrapped in your own breath, warmed by your own bead of rest, cradled by the gentlest truth that you are allowed to pause. That sleep is not selfish, that rest is not weakness, that dreams are not distractions. They are part of you, and they are powerful. Part 44. For every time you return, Tilda, if you return tomorrow or next week, or years from now, Whisper Hollow will still be waiting. The ivy will still trace the windows. The flame will still flicker in the hearth. The shelves of beads will still glow softly with dreams not yet dreamed. Thomal may be older. The cat may be curled in a new chair. The moon may shine through a thinner veil of cloud, but the welcome will be the same. Because you are not a visitor here, you are part of the story, part of the silence, part of the breath, part of the glow. So if you find your thoughts racing again, if sleep feels far, if the world asks too much, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, and return to the shop, to the flame, to the bead beneath your pillow, to the hollow. Tilda Part XLV. Thank you, and sleep well, Tilda, and now. You've come all this way, through misty woods and warm firelight, through threads and embers and lullabies. You've let go, you've drifted, you've glowed. There is nothing left to do now. No story left to follow, no line left to read. Only rest. Let your chest rise and fall and soften again. Let the bead inside you go quiet. Let your body melt into the last shape of stillness. And from the very heart of Whisper Hollow, from Thomal and Mira and the stars and the wind and the flame that still remembers, for resting, for listening, for dreaming. Sleep well now, dreamer. Sleep long, sleep deep, sleep peacefully. You are held. You are home. You are asleep. The end